I want to give you a short preview of the afternoon. We will have two exciting mirror sessions coming up, one being from civil society and community-based organizations. You will see a slight change, an amendment there. One as a donor mirror session, and then we will move to the workshops. And I need to quickly address the topic of the workshops, because once again I want to get you thinking. Please, I need your attention quickly, because the workshops, I want to get you in the right mindset. You saw yesterday the program at this point was empty. We didn't say what we would be doing in terms of the workshops because we wanted to listen to your inputs and your suggestions. Some people came forward, some differing views, some wanting to work in groups, some wanting to have it a more open space. People who know us realize we sort of then try to react to those different things and tailor to those needs. So, I have the wrong presentation, I think, at present. Is it on the back of this? Workshop day one. Oh, I need to click through all this. Day two. Okay. So we have three rooms, or three groups that we would like to have. One is the practitioner room, the incentive room, and the commitment room. The third one I was almost thinking to call it chaos room, but you'll see in a second. The first one, practitioner room, we're looking at, because we had people say, what about practical approaches? Practical approaches for integrated programming, including improved targeting. This workshop looks to identify very specific ways to link wash and nutrition interventions at an implementation level. How do we bring it from theory to reality? This can include targeting, location of intervention, timing, programming. Be specific, but be creative. Group one. Group two, the incentive room, or a carrot and stick. What is needed to motivate actors to really live sector integration in the field? How can pressure or positive incentives be created to change the way that project staff of different sectors in country get into dialogue for joint planning, implementation, and monitoring? So that pressure or that carrot and stick can be created from all sorts of different levels, but at the end we're looking at changing what happens on the ground. Third room, commitment room. This is to draw from you what we have missed in facilitating this workshop. So the first thing is collecting ideas for further outreach in three sort of things. We'll have three boards, and that's why it's the chaos room. You'll be rotating and filling out whatever you want to fill out on, whatever you want to fill out. One is a timeline. What are important events coming up from one sector that we feel the other should be involved, or vice versa, or joint opportunities? What are things where people are saying, maybe this is a place we should engage? Put dates on the timeline. The second, actors. Which actors? We've already talked about health, obviously, but who did we fail to invite here? Yeah, maybe you think of specific names or sector groups, networks, whatever we want to collect. And the final, a marketplace. Place for people to put their commitments to say, here's my name, here's my organization, this is what I'll do, but perhaps you need to fill out another thing and say, I need someone to help me to do the following. So those are the three groups. I will ask you, I think, sort of maybe between the next mirror sessions to give a show of hands so that we can think again of which room do we put you in depending on size. But those would be, or maybe I'll just ask it now. Show of hands for the practitioner room, please. A lot of hands. For the incentive room, please. A relevant number of hands, not so many. And the commitment room. Good, I love it. We have everything. So the first group will be here. The second group, I think, will either be just outside this room or in the back of the room. The third room will go to room 110 or something, I think it is. Okay, thank you. So without further ado, we look forward to these two mirror sessions. Now my paper is down here. Since part of what they're doing is explaining what their networks are, I'll let them introduce themselves. First we have Megan Macgarry from End Water Poverty. We have Ben Hobbs from Generation Nutrition, and a great thanks to both of these networks, because we've had preparation calls and you've mobilized people and advertised this event as well. And third, and I want to apologize, we've added Abigail Mupambi, who addressed me before and said, we're always talking about the affected groups. I'm from a community-based organization. We organize ourselves to tackle these issues, and I said we need to have you up here. So the fact that this is handwritten does not degrade that in any way, shape, or form. Very happy to have you up here, so I'd like to ask all three of you to come up, please. And a round of applause. And I think you have microphones for on stage laying next to you. And I think we'll begin with Megan. And I think you're the coordinator, right?
Apparently so.
Very good. Please.
Thank you very much. Sorry, everyone. I think I'm getting a cold, so apologies. Like earlier, I might be a bit froggy. But delighted to be here. I love being afternoon session because you've all had lunch. You're all full of wonderful energy, particularly with Thilo leading us. So really looking forward to some 2 great mirror sessions. So just a brief description. About 5 to 7. And can I just get the clicker? Sorry.
Yes, of course. I keep stealing that. Right here for you. And you do stand up and come over here because it's better to see while you're presenting.
Great. Right. Hi, everyone. Do I use which mic?
Use this one.
This one.
Sorry.
Too many confusion.
We'll get it.
Great. Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Megan Macgarry. I'm representing End Water Poverty today, which I will give a brief introduction about, explain who we are and what we do and how we work, and mainly next steps from there, why we work in coalitions, what civil society coalitions mean, and going forward into next year, what we're sort of looking for. Sorry, again, please apologies for the throat. So End Water Poverty has grown out of a global campaign that started in 2008, where a number of leading organizations in the WASH sector realized that there was a gap in the global architecture. There was no platform for all different stakeholders to come together to discuss WASH priorities. So EWP, as we like to call ourselves for short, was a critical platform that established sanitation and water for all. We heard from Katerina earlier. EWP started as sort of the main platform campaigning for the need for sanitation and water for all. Since then, since 2008, we've grown into a global coalition of over 340 organizations working around the world. And these members range in size, in scale, in geographic location, and in priority, but our entire concern that links us all is the passion to end the water and sanitation crisis. So our members range from small district-level volunteer groups, such as the Volunteer Youth for the Environment in Togo, through to regional bodies, which I'll talk a bit more about later, through to national-level umbrella bodies, and as well as international bodies, so including our host, WaterAid. I'm delighted that DTO celebrates their 10 years, and Thilo has been a critical steering committee member for EWP, growing us over the years. And again, all of our priority is to come together to prioritize the human right to water and sanitation and make sure that this is a promise that is kept at government level, at international level. So the main primary concerns that our advocacy are focused on is through our lead campaign, which is Keep Your Promises. This is a campaign that is working towards ensuring that all governments are held accountable to their commitments, particularly on the human rights to water and sanitation. And our members can adapt this campaign towards their national level advocacy, as well as the Secretariat setting the global context and key messaging that we will take forward at the global level. All of this, our members are at the center of our work, and all of this is fed up to us and down to our members. So it really is a holistic way of working. And through this campaign and through our work in the EWP, we've worked at the global level, particularly on the Sustainable Development Goals. In 2013, for example, we had a petition which called for a dedicated goal, where nearly 2 million people signed for this need for this goal to prioritize water and sanitation. Through other advocacy and linking up with other partners, particularly in the wash sector, we were delighted this year that a main aim and focus was a realization, and we've achieved a dedicated goal. And now, going forward, we're going to insist that the governments keep their promises. At regional level, we work with regional umbrella bodies such as ANU, which is the African Civil Society Network on Water and Sanitation, and we also work with FANZA, which is the Freshwater Action Network South Asia. And these are umbrella bodies they have local focal points in each country, as well as different members around working in WASH, and connect with us. And again, it's focusing on capacity building, strengthening advocacy, and having one united voice calling for the same change. Primarily, we work with them on 2 main events per year, which is AfricaSan and SACOSAN. And I'm aware that there are a lot of people in the room that might not know these kinds of things, so I'm trying to explain each of them to. These are pinnacle points in the WASH, particularly in a regional WASH perspective, where it brings together government ministers, finance ministers, water ministers, donors, and civil society to agree an agenda for commitments for the next year. Next year or 2 years, it depends on which SAN you're talking about. These declarations then become the commitments that governments then we are able to hold them accountable for. So AfricaSan and SACOSAN, which is the South Asia Conference on Sanitation, or the African Conference on Sanitation. And these are key points in the advocacy career in water and sanitation, to create a space for civil society to demand what their needs are, to really reflect what their needs are from the ground up, and to focus on our main target, which is the most vulnerable and most neglected community groups. We also work at a national level, particularly through the Keep Your Promises campaign, which is one of our most recent work is the country briefings, where we work hand in hand with our member organizations to create one united WASH perspective document that outlines how governments have met their targets, and we use WatchWash, which is an incredible resource for civil society, tracking the different levels of progress towards the commitments. So as you can see, the traffic light system is a really clear indication of how governments are progressing successfully or not. What are the gaps? Where are things missing? And so this is a fantastic tool for our members, because then they can use this in a united advocacy at a national level, saying, government, you've come this far, but there are a lot of gaps, and these are the particular gaps, and these are how this is what the reality on the ground is for the most marginalized. So then, just to carry on the next steps, 2016 is going to be a critical year for all stakeholders. This is the start of our new global agenda. We have 15 years to achieve the change we want to see. So national level implementation plans are beginning to be established. We were talking yesterday about the cherry picking and the worry and concerns about the cherry picking, who the players are going to be, and so on. So this is one critical time for civil society to have a united voice together. In order to do so, just in terms of EWP's next steps, this forum is a sort of stepping stone for us, and I'm so grateful for Thilo for starting this dialogue of joining sectors. Next year, End Water Poverty is going to be holding a roundtable which brings together water and sanitation, food security, and housing as 3 critical areas that all interlinked. We will be talking about the last couple of days of the importance of integration and talking across sector. So this is the start of the conversation, and the more we have these conversations, the more we can realize real integration. So the Human Rights Roundtable will feature as part of the Water Action Month, which is running throughout March 2016. Previously, People in WASH sector might have heard of the World Walks for Water and Sanitation, which was our leading sort of campaign action. This has now grown even bigger to run throughout the month of March, where all our members, all key stakeholders across different sectors, but particularly in WASH, really come together to unite to call for the end to the water and sanitation crisis. One other key area of our work, and this is going to link into my colleague's presentation, Ben, is that we also work with a number of different global coalitions, which includes, as I said, SWA, but includes Generation Nutrition, Beyond 2015, and others, because we feel that together we can achieve change. A united civil society is key in making the change we want to see in the world, to really ensure that the vulnerable, most marginalized are not left behind. So integration for us is critical. Being part of fora like this, being part of the coalitions that we're part of, this is the way we're going to tackle problems in the future and address the multitude of barriers, maximizing our impact and creating smart ways of making change. So it's not a question of anymore of how we should work should we work together. It's rather a question of how we work together now. It's time for business unusual. So I'm really excited to have you all keep it in your diaries for next year March, and I look forward to chatting more. So that was a very brief introduction of what end water poverty is, and I'll hand over to my colleague, Ben.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Megan. That was perfect, and I apologize for not having introduced you properly as Campaigns and Communications Officer of End Water Poverty, I think. Yeah, and your background and experience in coalition building becomes very apparent.